So, good afternoon. Bonsoir. On peut parler anglais? Ça va? OK. Donc, on va commencer avec un petit vidéo de faire un peu de entertainment. So, let's start with the video.
Over the last couple of years, CleanTech Business Club, a private and independent human-to-human leadership club, as a unique multi-sectorial, multi-stakeholder, and multinational think-do tank in the cleantech space, has been bringing together trusted leaders of solar, cleantech, and other disruptive technologies industries with the leaders of the financial community and investors, top corporations, energy companies, and utilities, as well as political decision makers and public opinion influencers, and work hand in hand on financial instruments and business models to scale up cleantech investments from billions to trillions while shaping the future today. In 2020, faced with COVID-19 crises, CleanTech Business Club leaders driven by the power of H2H blockchain and United DNA started Together We Are Stronger initiative and committed themselves to its manifesto, Declaration 2030, to jointly anticipate, shape, and lead together the cleantech decade. As together, we are more effective than apart. And now we launch our CBC 2.0 digital platform, the epicenter for essential cleantech TV, news and knowledge resources, business and expertise, events and job opportunities, to unite cleantech industry with related stakeholders while empowering their businesses and guiding them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year towards a new world's paradigm. And we will make it by combining business with meaningfulness and joy. Because together we are stronger. Thumbs up for CleanTech.
Okay, thank you so much. And we can now change to the slides, yes? So I think that now we should update, the last slogan. Thumbs up for CleanTech and green hydrogen, yes? Are you agree with this? Okay, so as you can see, renewables and hydrogen are the best friends forever. So let me introduce to the stage first Professor Wijk. So Professor Wijk, he started his solar adventure in 1984. He was one of the most successful solar businessmen in the Netherlands, but also in Europe. And a couple of years ago, he wrote the red book, actually, that started the hydrogen revolution in Europe. So let's give him applause. Afterwards, he will tell you a bit more, yes. And I would like to also ask Paul van Son. So Paul van Son, so we are all, we are like, pioneers, but we are still young and full of energy, yes. And Paul van Son, he's a president of DII Desert Energy. I don't know if you heard in the past there was this project of DII Desert Energy to transport energy from Africa to Europe, like a 50 billion project, yes? And since then, this project evaluated, and today one of the key, let's say, businesses which are in consideration of the organization is hydrogen. And actually, thanks to Professor Wijk, who inspired Paul and also members of DII. So maybe I will give you just, very shortly a floor. So first, Professor Wijk, could you add something, to this description? And very important, because the topic is how we should work together in order to accelerate green hydrogen revolution.
Yes, as you probably have seen also here around, it's not only about the production of hydrogen, but also to the applications of hydrogen. And if you want to bring the hydrogen to these applications, you need an infrastructure and you need also a transport and storage of this hydrogen. And the interesting but also difficult thing is that if you produce hydrogen for a good price, how do you bring that to the customer at the right time and at the right place? And therefore, it's not only about producing, it's not only about using the hydrogen, but it is about the total supply chain for hydrogen that we have to build up in the same pace all together. And therefore, we cannot, never any company can do it alone. Any government cannot do it alone. You have to do this together with all companies building up the supply chain, and that needs also regulations, and that needs all kinds of subsidies and programs. And therefore, this CleanTech Business Club, which together we are stronger. Now, that's of course how we can build up this hydrogen economy, you could say.
So actually now, this session is like our rehearsal before our today's dinner. Yes, we meet with the 30 leaders from different countries, from different value chain, and we will be discussing how to accelerate the green hydrogen deployment together. And together we are stronger. For us, it's not just like a slogan, but this is our, let's say, modus operandi. And I would like to thank you, Paul, also, for all your cooperation, because also thanks to you, now we are working with Professor Wake, and I would like to ask you, see how this cooperation is so important, taking into account your international experience. Yes, you are Dutch, working before for German company, now uniting people from so many countries, working with so many governments, and not speaking so many languages.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. It's always a pleasure to be here with the CBC. It is an instrument to create vibes. It is a modern approach. I just said to Ad that we are a little bit looking like dinosaurs in a new world of change. Actually, we talk about energy transition. In the end of the day, is management of change. Change from an old world, an old society based on fossil fuels and a lot of emissions and a lot of harmful effects, which we cannot continue like that because it would kill our environment, to a new world like on energy, which is natural and it's not harmful and abundant and so on and so forth. And hydrogen is an energy carrier that will play a very important role. So that is, I mean, from the visionary side, something that we already saw coming like 15, 20 years ago, especially Ad van Wijk, by the way. He started like 40 years ago with the idea of an energy transition. Now it is all about connecting people to make this work, because an energy transition without embracing by people could not happen. So, and doing this with people together means cooperation, and to motivate people, to explain to them why this change is so important, and also the good news that it is more economic. It is lowest cost, it's no emissions, and security of supply based on renewables, or any other energy carrier without any emissions. So that's also why I'm a pleasure to be here, and also with the thought leader Ad van Wijk and Thomas, who brings the vibes. So the best combination, I would say. So thank you for inviting me, Thomas.
Yes, and actually, so we have experienced the vibes, and also we have an amazing partner, Hyvolution Paris. So thumbs up for Hyvolution. Yes, thumbs up. Yes. Because I believe that we cannot make things happen with the organizers who are coming from Renewables, and now they are also very active in the Hyvolution. So today also we have this dinner together. And I would like to ask maybe now Professor Wake, because you are helping the European Union to create the whole, let's say, legislation, yes, with regards to hydrogen. I would like to ask you, so what are the big things, during the next years, and maybe how also this will influence the growth of the hydrogen industry in France?
Yes, what we have experienced is that hydrogen was not on the agenda when the Green Deal in 2019 was there. only in 2020 we had the first hydrogen strategy established in the EU. That's only 2.5 years ago. And now we are here with this amazing conference and also exhibition. And what you see today is that we formulated goals in 2020, but due to the war that we have and that we experience in Ukraine, we have seen that Repower EU was established, and that has increased the goals for hydrogen in the EU with a factor of 4. So we have to produce 20 million tons. Yesterday, we have seen that also other blocks, the US and also China, India, and have formulated their goals. And they have, with the Inflation Reduction Act, will stimulate hydrogen production with $3 per kilo. For 10 years, you will get as a tax reduction. Yesterday, the European Committee has launched their Green Deal investment plan, and they have also launched a bank, so they will do the same. You can get 3 euros per kilo for 10 years, and they will launch a tender in autumn this year, and they have reserved 800 million for that. So you see the steep acceleration in what has happened over the past 2-3 years in hydrogen. It was not on the agenda. There were no policies in place. And today it is seen as one of these, what Paul was already saying, one of these major energy carriers next to electricity that you need to decarbonize the industry, to decarbonize heavy transport, etc., etc. And that can bring also new jobs to Europe. And it's indeed an amazing acceleration, but we have to be careful. I will tell tonight also that the EU is sometimes a lot of countries together with a lot of fuss around countries with different ideas. For example, France here wants to produce all their hydrogen in France. You need to import because otherwise it will become too expensive. You don't have the good resources here. Others want to export, Spain, for example, but they don't want to have import from Morocco going to... So there is a lot of confusion at this moment still in the European Union. And I hope that we can find together, because there we see also that you can only do it together, that these countries in the EU will build this framework and can compete also in building up the hydrogen economy with, for example, the US or India or China.
So actually it's a quite interesting topic, and we have quite difficult time right now, yes, when it comes to the geopolitics with the war in Ukraine, also the tensions between United States, China, between Western world and Asia-Pacific world, and how the hydrogen economy, how this new business, despite of all the geopolitical tensions, can help actually to unite the countries and to unite different nations in order, to make this transformation together. So, Paul, this is a question to you.
Yeah, I think there are many factors that unite people. One of the very important one is that people understand that they cannot move on like it was before. And that's normally very difficult because people stick to their life and assume that what they do is the best thing, and anything new is normally not accepted. And for that reason, it is almost like a blessing that there are major crises. Climate crisis in the sense of meteorological changes that people cannot ignore, but also wars and related effects on energy and energy prices. So people cannot close their eyes for expanding or escalating energy prices. They have to do something. And you can go back to or produce more oil and gas, but it will not help you because it will even drive prices up more. So for getting people together, you need sparks. You need reasons that are clear enough for everyone to understand that it cannot move as it was before, and they have to do something new. And as I said before, and also Ad van Wijk in the light, and even Thomas, the good news really is that the future based on renewables is very feasible. It is very doable, and it is even at the lowest cost. But, and that is another point that Ad said, that if you look at Europe, for instance, and you can look at China and to any United States and other places, also Africa and so on, people, of course, start thinking about energy from what they see at home or in their village, in their province, in their country, and think you can do it all at that level. I think with the large populations, like 500 million people in Europe, with not so much energy around, yeah, you have to think beyond the borders of Europe. So the energy, especially if you talk about climate and energy, these are global issues. Global in the sense of emissions, whatever emissions, CO2 or greenhouse gases emissions, we can reduce worldwide, like in China, Russia, and South America, Japan, you name it, is helpful to the whole world at the same time. And about energy security, that is, of course, something you can start doing at home or in your country, but in many countries, it's not sufficient, simply the way the economy is built up, or the amount of people, or the kind of energy needs. So you need to look at beyond the borders. And that is something that people have to get used to. It's not something to be afraid of. It is something very positive. It is looking like, where are the big sources of energy? Is it in the North Sea? Is it in the Alps? Is it in the Sahara, for instance? And how can we connect this at lowest cost with local benefits, so that the people that deliver this energy have the best benefits, but still leading to lowest emissions. So it is something where we really have to work together with people around the globe. That is also our objective, our responsibility, I would say.
So last but not least, like we are running out of time, I see. So how would you encourage people here in the audience, but also people who will watch later the video in France and maybe also internationally, why they should look at hydrogen and also renewable, yes, because renewables and hydrogen are the best friends forever for their future, yes, in terms of the job, maybe in terms of their education, you know, even like a better life opportunity, maybe in bullet points, yes?
Yes, let me start by saying it is not only about hydrogen. It is about a renewable or a sustainable energy system that we want to create. And why do we need hydrogen? But we need only hydrogen next to electricity. With solar and wind, you make electricity. But if you want to transport that electricity over longer distances and you want to store it, then you see that electricity transport is much more expensive than hydrogen transport. To give a number, it's 10 times more expensive to transport electricity than hydrogen. It is also 100 times more expensive to store electricity than you can store hydrogen. And that means that you have to look to this energy system as a total thing. So if you can produce electricity, if you can use that, you have to do that directly. But if you look to where we can produce in large quantities for low prices, then we have to go to the sites where you have the best resources for solar, the best resources for wind, and that is normally further away. Let me give you one figure also. When we look to Europe, the European Union, and to the Sahara Desert in the European Union, for example, in Germany, we can produce solar for 7-8 cents per kilowatt hour. But in the Sahara Desert, it is 1. And then you see that we have much more space in the Sahara Desert, much cheaper. The Sahara Desert, by the way, is 2 times as big as all the European Union countries together. So there you see that there is space. So we have to work together, not only in Europe with the countries, but also with our, say, Africa, North Africa, the Middle East region, but also from abroad. And there we have to build that system. And that's not only a thing that you can do in your country or in your neighborhood. There you produce your electricity that you consume by yourself, but you have to do that on a broader level with all the countries in the EU, but still you have to think much broader to develop a clean energy system in the end. And therefore the CleanTech Business Club bringing together, building this together, that is a very good initiative to do. That's of course on all the levels you need not it's not countries or companies which do this. It's really the people that build this together. Because if you are not convinced that this is needed, if you don't do it for your children or grandchildren, if you have the idea that you can do it alone as a company, that's not the way. But you have to connect with people to discuss it together, but also build it together, to realize it together. It's outdated that a company can do this alone. It is outdated that a country can do this alone. We have to build this together, and especially the people have to build this together.
Yeah, we have to do this together, and we will do this together. And why is this? Because, and Ad says it's all renewable energy in the cheapest places on Earth where they are abundant is 1 or 2 or maybe 3 cents, solar, wind, and so on. To produce hydrogen, we will reach to 1 or 2 euro per kilo one day. And then this is about the cheapest energy carrier that you can get. It's even cheaper than coal and oil and lignite and nuclear. So it is not a very unpleasant thing to move towards cheaper sources that are also secure, because the solar and wind will be there. You would say, yeah, solar forever, and wind maybe also, and hydro in most places as well, and biomass. So with the energy carrier hydrogen, it is the fundamental point. We are able to connect all production centers in the world with all consumption centers. That is locally, regionally, and globally. And that is at the lowest cost as well. So this would sound like music in the air, in the ears, and also in the air. And this is also something that this society will move that way. The only thing is to speed this up, because if we would leave this to simply the market as such, that may go too slow. So there should be more encouragement, pressure on emission through very high emission prices, and a floor for renewables, so that there are more and more renewables in the energy systems, and to create awareness. So if the awareness is there that this is cheaper, it is healthy, it is no emissions, it is also secure, then people would love to do this, and they will do it.
Okay, I think that we can now, finish this discussion and this short session. We'll continue everything tonight, and afterwards we'll share also on cleantechbusiness.club the outcomes, yes? And as we are the last session, actually, at Hyvolution, let me, all together, let's applaud Hyvolution team, yes, for the amazing job.